This week talking John Williams.
Yes, we are. It's good to see you there. Where's Adam this week? Have you heard anything from him? Was he still stuck in the Rishi maze, or was it Nell Hut at this time?
Well, we had to navigate through the Rishi maze, so probably would have seen him.
Probably would have seen him if he was there.
Yeah.
He's missing this week, but he has assured us he will be back for next week, so we've got that going on. But with Adam away, Grant and I want to dork out on some music tonight, like real hard. The John
We may
Williams
have been talking music for an hour before pressing record.
Yeah, all those things. So I'm hoping to carry on that conversation in reference, obviously, to the great John Williams, who has a doc out, music by John Williams. It's on Apple now, and it was directed by Laurent Bouzereau. You can correct me on that, Grant.
No, c'est vrai. I mean,
C'est vrai? Oui bien.
Yeah, incredible.
Très bien.
Très bien. I feel like this documentary was just so well made, and shout out to Laurent Bouzereau. He I'm not too sure.
I'm pretty sure it's a he, because they were just off camera a couple times talking with John.
Sure.
It sounds like an old friend that I should probably know.
It's incredible documentary. John Williams, so many other special guests: Steven Spielberg, J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy, James Mangold, Frank Marshall. Just so many incredible interviews about John Williams in the film. I just can't say enough good things. I actually watched it twice.
Yeah, you had me at you were bawling the first time, and then you're like, I just watched it again, and I'm like, okay, this is gotta be. Yeah, this is gonna be good.
It was transformative. And that's not I don't like that blurb just thrown on any movie. It was truly a moving experience to see someone who has enriched the world with their music in such a powerful way, and that taking hold of everyone, and everyone commenting on a singular man's sort of vision for film. And I don't know, I was just blown away, honestly. I thought
50 years. Yeah. And this is not going to be a gushing about John Williams podcast.
Because we've done it before, honestly.
Yeah.
And we've spent hours gushing about John Williams. And it's just not, it's we have that content, and join our Patreon and follow us and like us on platforms, and I promise you we can get you sort of annals of audio where we're just talking about John Williams, because we have it in store.
I know it was that 4th of July pod, and I don't have the number, back when we were Core World News, and we brought audio in and we played clips from John Williams music. And it was awesome. And we had a draft. We're gonna do a draft again right now. We're each gonna pick one song theme from each of the 9 films, and we're going to do a wild card, but it's just going to be a vehicle about talking about music and Star Wars, but through the eyes of the man. As much as we're not going to gush, John Williams is one of one.
Yes, go.
And I mean, it's just he got me into film, into everything I do. He got me into music, hundreds of millions of other people that have been heard his music, and it just captivated them. And then the way that this doc is cut, it's just one mesmerizing theme after another. It's just the greatest thing. It's going to be awesome, man. Do you want to just start it off? And I think we'll organically get into different parts of this documentary.
I firstly just want to talk about Steven Spielberg crashing the documentary, and how welcome a surprise that was, and how beautiful that was. And sort of I was who's going to take the lead on this documentary? At some point there's got to be a lead interviewer, or someone who's just really wants to get into John's history. And it's just Steven Spielberg, just I just love how it was directed, and Steven Spielberg just moves past the camera, and he's I'm here now, and I'm talking to my best friend. I don't know, I was just taken with
it. It seemed really organic, it actually happened. As someone that's for his job does interviews all the time, that didn't feel staged whatsoever. Even though maybe the producer was hey, John's going to be super modest, and we can't have that for this. Maybe we just put, Spielberg, who discovered John Williams, essentially, was the first, really launched his career.
Met, it was sort of a beginning of the blockbuster, right? I would say the original sort of blockbuster in New Hollywood is John Williams and Steven Spielberg.
And it just sort of organically goes through how both Spielberg and then ultimately Lucas really wanted that throwback orchestral score, which had kind of gone away in
from
the
like
80s
the Cowboy and these movies
yeah.
that Spielberg had seen when he was younger, and he was just like, I always remember these themes, and he would like, and you just found out Spielberg was also a musical genius in this documentary. He was like, he also memorized sort of themes from movies in the 40s and 50s and 60s that he was just totally locked in on. And,
he seemed to have like an encyclopedic memory. Like he really listened. He bought everything pretty much and listened to everything.
He like owned the vinyl music for all the themes for music soundtracks before that was even like a thing people would do, which is like.
They sold like 1,000 copies of like those things, maybe, like, you know, and he was one of them that got it. So yeah, young filmmakers out there, know your music, because obviously,
it's very, because it pushed Steven into a new realm of creativity with John Williams, and then John Williams sort of unleashes, and it's so interesting because they did talk about temp score for a good like 5 minutes of the movie early on, and I feel like it was so interesting that Steven would put like I think he would put like old John Williams music in his movies, and John Williams would be like, oh no, it's not like that at all, it's this, and he would just have his own voice that he would add to the, and so when you see George, and like, again, this is a Star Wars podcast, let's remember we get to George Lucas at some point in this documentary, and don't think Ben and I weren't like revving our
here for it.
Skin. But like George is like, I trusted Steven and John, but like I also was like walking in and out of the room and being like, is this gonna work, and then like, not only does it work, it's what we know as Star Wars today.
The overall themes I got were like his humility. Like he would never be like, you've got it wrong here, like, I mean, he would like push back and work with them.
He would say like, it's not a horror moment, it's an adventure, it's like a sea odyssey. Like Jaws is more of an adventure odyssey story than it is and a great hunt sort of story than it's a horror movie.
He was like, it was an oceanic adventure, and I was like, oh yeah, that's such a great spin in a horror movie. Like, but yeah, so he's got great ideas. He's had to sell a bunch of them to the directors. But there's a couple of big examples where they showed that like they're like, no, I really want this, and I have a different feeling. One of them was the Binary Sunset theme. Like, and I mean, it was a little bit of a pat on the back to George Lucas that I'm not sure was necessary, but they gave George Lucas credit for being like, I think you can do it again. And they played the original like theme for the Binary Sunset, like the classic Star Wars theme with Luke, staring at the twin suns, and it wasn't great. It wasn't nearly as good as the like Binary Sunset, which is one of my favorite pieces of music of all time. So I don't know. Anyways, he's a good listener. He plays well, and then he's also a yes and guy. He's like, oh, I see what you're doing. I can do blah blah blah. Like he meets in the middle with all these people. He's just like an ultimate professional. But I don't think that should take away from what a like master he is, or like a master musician he is. And this is kind of a sore spot for me.
He knows a little bit of the trombone. He knows a little bit of clarinet. Like he knows like all these obscure instruments. He's sort of like, he talks about throughout the documentary, being like, oh, I practiced a little bit of that. And what they eventually talk about in the doc is that he can write your instrument better than you could. Essentially. And he's like, when John Williams writes your instrument, it's it's like it's some sort of like divine play. It's beautiful.
They interviewed Itzhak Perlman, who's a favorite of mine, like master violinist, and he was just like, and he pushes them just to the edge of their abilities, but not in like an obnoxious way, just like a real The
harpist. Remember the harpist in E.T.? It was just like Elliot and E.T.'s relationship is represented by this harp. And she was just like, I can play that, but I have to stop playing this with my right hand or something. And it was just like, okay, like John Williams is like he just needs the instrument to get louder and swell in certain areas where he's really demanding a lot of the chord progressions.
And what's happened within orchestral music. He's kind of a master across many genres, from like very like traditional classical music all the way through like the modern period, and he uses all the instruments, and he uses them all perfectly. Because I think it's like his mind. When you think of just him with 10 fingers at a piano coming up with all these scores, that's what's really impressive to me. It's like, in his mind, he's playing, you know, an entire orchestra's worth of music, but he's doing it with just the most basic thing, and that's the real genius of him for me.
Yeah. Incredible documentary. Like, I honestly can't urge people enough to go watch this on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's music by John Williams. Just incredible stuff. Just JJ talking about John Williams, James Mangold talking about John Williams, Kathleen Kennedy talking about John Williams, just his genius and what he's able to do to sort of enhance a movie. Like, honestly, what would these movies be without him? Like, I just can't imagine. He's just singular, like you said. And it's just the most beautiful music you've ever heard. And I honestly, like, besides Star Wars, like E.T. again, I'm like, it's wild that Chris Martin just shows up in this documentary and he's just like,
that was the weirdest pull.
Hyping John Williams. Like, it was like a TikTok hype video of John Williams in the middle of a John Williams documentary. I was just like, okay, like, that's cool, but like, I really like getting back to sort of the creatives in Hollywood and sort of talking about John Williams enhancing the movie, what he does when he sees picture and he sees dailies, and he sort of is just like scoring in his mind. You see him like writing things down on like a notepad, like quickly as he's watching dailies, and you're like, is he just like writing down a chord, or is he writing down like, I want to know what that notepad looks like, honestly. That's like the most interesting notepad of my life.
Yeah, I
would need to see that.
He old school writes out scores himself by hand, and like he's always done it. And like, I mean, it sounded like he did his 10,000 hours of like piano practice before he hit age 20. Like, it was like, that was his whole deal. Like, put down your phone. There is no phone. All you have is a piano. And he's just like, no, I love doing this. This is what I'm going to do all the time. Is really like, you know, he came from a musical family, and like music was the only thing he was ever going to do. But he worked at it, man.
It's interesting. Like, it sounds like there was some real structure in his life, and sort of like his dad was like, we're going to do piano, and then you'll play baseball, but you'll do it like evenly and dedicate time to each thing. And it was like, he just eventually, and like his whole family were musicians, and I think his dad was like a musician, and I think even his mother was like a musician or something as well.
Yeah, she was a singer, I believe.
Singer. And they met in like some sort of music.
Oh, yeah, she was a dancer in like the 20s. She was like a flapper, like I don't know if flapper is the correct term, but like whatever they did in the 20s. Like, he was the drummer in the band. Ron.
He was percussionist, right? His dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so because his dad's a percussionist, it explains Star Wars. Honestly, Star Wars was the ultimate percussion sort of splurge, right?
That's what I was so like. I was getting ready for this draft, and I'm like, I can't pick just another like percussion based song, because like so many of his songs are just like timpani and like drums and crashes and like just like marches too. They talked. He did a cup of coffee in the military, and actually that was what got him writing scores. They needed more military music. There was an interview with him on Smartless, which I watch almost all the time, and he talked a lot about like, he got to start doing in like the military writing for them. So it's like, that's my other like kind of like favorite like flavor of John Williams in Star Wars is all his like military marches are just like peerless. They're like so fun. And there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them when you think about it and really break it down. And obviously he's the king of leitmotif. Like, it's like every creature has their own like theme. And it's just like moment to moment, he can just be shuffling back and forth between themes, and that's the movie like cinematic aspect that I think is kind of lost a lot contemporarily.
Beautifully said. Yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
was that sarcasm?
No, I really truly did think so. No, you carried it perfectly.
Yeah.
I honestly, I would urge people to watch this, and sort of like, if you think you know John Williams, I don't think you know some of these details. It was like incredible just to learn who met who where. Like, Frank Marshall's dad, like
played in jazz bands.
Yeah, and like in the military, like I think you're talking about, right? Like I think, so I think John Williams also like probably like invented a lot of new military scores and marching numbers that we probably don't know about.
Yeah, it was for Canada. The Canadian military, for some reason, like they leased out to the American military, and they're like, do you have anyone that's a musician and you're like that can write for us? And they grab Johnny as his
Do you know
friends call him.
So what is this Tanglewood getaway for musicians? What is this
Tanglewood? Place? I'm so glad you asked. Do you not know the story of Tanglewood?
No, please do. Please.
Okay, so historically, for the summer, so we're both in Massachusetts right now, right? But I think you probably don't know this.
Yeah, that's why that's why this moved me, because just to know that he's a kind of New England guy was cool.
Yeah, because it was kind of a departure. He was sort of playing music for like musical scores and writing musical scores and starting to conduct a little, but not a lot. But after the success of Star Wars, he was asked to work for the Boston Pops, and that he was famously a Boston Pops conductor for a long time. But so the Pops, they performed 3 seasons in Boston at Symphony Hall, but in the summer they go out to this compound in the forest of western Massachusetts in a town called Tanglewood. And well, actually, it's not called the town. The grounds are called Tanglewood. And
it's in the Berkshires. Where is it?
Yeah, it's in the Berkshires, which is just mountain range that runs through western Mass, and it's gorgeous out there. I've been there, and I interviewed Yo-Yo Ma there. I'm just gonna flex on that right now. Awesome guy.
I mean, also featured in the documentary.
Yeah, and it's Perlman was out there as well at the same time. So yeah, it's this bucolic place for rich white people. No, I mean everyone's welcome. It's not an exclusive place, but Massachusetts, New England is but yeah, like old rich people go out to Tanglewood and watch the Pops in the summer. Like, is there anything more civilized than that? It's kind of amazing. So that was a location prominently shown there, and that's why he was out there so much. And I know Yo-Yo Ma plays his concert series out there. He's a local to Boston, so he plays there all the time, and has like a school, and they're fantastic. Anyways, that's Tanglewood.
So that's a place where musicians can go and play for the public as well as learn their craft.
Yeah, there's several massive stages there. But yeah, so the Pops would perform them there every week, and it would be like you're out on the lawn, you throw down a blanket, you watch some classical music. It's very civilized.
Oh, it's a sanctuary for classical musicians.
Yeah, and, so they write there, and they live there, and they perform there. A summer concert series. Like I think it's 2 months. They perform out there.
Hopefully it's incredibly diverse, and hopefully the audience is incredibly diverse.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not a regular. It's like 2 hours from Boston. And I've never seen a performance there, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, if John Williams in this documentary said he still conducts once or twice a summer out there because it's like a natural lull in his schedule, and he just likes doing it. So, anyways, this is where he really cut his teeth as a director, or as a conductor rather.
It seems like he was able to teach a lot of people his methods there, which was very exciting to hear. It was incredible to hear that he sort of does go somewhere. He teaches essentially.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful to hear. I was like, because I don't know how up and coming filmmakers are going to make their films, especially like when you think of it as a sort of like massive blockbuster that's a sort of like symphony enhanced sort of theatrical adventure. Like, I don't know how you do that without John Williams and sort of that musical logic, which when we do our draft, I think we'll talk about musicians who emulate John Williams well and musicians who are trying to move away from John Williams, like that sort of theatrical score, and move into sort of more abstract territories, and sort of like what we think the maybe way forward is, right, musically for Star Wars, which will be like maybe our final note on this pod. But like, I really want to talk about sort of like what's ahead and who's capable of making music this bombastic and this sort of declarative. I don't think there's anyone out there, honestly. I think John Williams, again, singular genius. It's going to be very difficult to find someone who, and even Steven Spielberg understood this. He was just like, I love the movies of the, 50s and 60s and the sort of outright sort of operatic nature of their scores and like the music and the trills, and it's sort of like, I don't know how you could just depart from that and do more ambient music or electronic music or something that's a little bit more sort of modern, when this was so effective. And I agree. I think like I love the idea of a sort of like a symphonic sort of score.
It's classic. It's flawless. It's kind of like you really can't go wrong with it.
You can't. Yeah.
You could put it on any movie and it'd be fantastic. And yeah, he was the king of it. I do kind of want to talk about, there's a little bit of controversy around John Williams, and it actually happened during his stint with the Pops. There was a real pushback from the classical music community on him and his stardom. There was a lot of jealous music aficionados that were out to get him, being
like Salieri's.
Yeah, they're like, they were just like, they're like, film music isn't music. Like, real people thought that, and some of his musicians thought that, and they like revolted after 4 years of him at the Pops, and so he resigned, and then later came back and worked there for many more years. But so the worst job, this is a personal anecdote. Mm-hmm. The worst job I ever had was at an honorary society called the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. I'll say the most toxic job because of a woman. I can't remember her name anymore. In the irony of ironies, she got fired because she faked her doctorate, which at a, like an academic society is like the worst thing you could do.
Some blowback to that.
Yeah. And but so I was there the year that one of the years they were debating putting John Williams in there. He had been voted out on 2 previous occasions, and if it happened again, I think he was off the ballot, and he did ultimately get put through. But to listen to people like these sour grapes about he's not a real musician because it's film music, it's just laughable. I can't think of anything dumber than that. But I just wanted to say it was real, and I saw it
so they watch Lincoln and they don't shed a tear.
Yeah. It's like, do you even? Yeah, because it's like, oh, he doesn't stand up with Mozart. It's like, I would argue he does.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, good is good, man. And
I was going to use this as a wild card, but the score for Lincoln, please go listen to it and then get back to me.
Yeah.
If you don't think that's just the pure expression of humanity.
Yeah, it's really something special. And I mean, we could compare him to other contemporaries. I mean, he was the first the guy that everyone wanted, and now Hans Zimmer is that guy, and there's a couple other big ones, but I mean, they're kind of the whale. But I just think that the way that it's just amazing that John Williams used kind of the same palette over and over again and was able to really just win the day with theme and with notes and with melody, and it is always changing. The vibe was always different, and just one. And really
it was the first time where throughout my life, there's always been people who just, and I've been guilty of this, sort of admired people's genius and then got closer to them, tried to understand their genius, and they then explain some of the very simple aspects that they want to explain in a sort of profound way. But when John Williams explains Jaws in sort of that simplistic score, you're just like, oh, this is actually a pure genius explaining to me something that actually was far more complex than I thought it was. And it actually is that transformative, almost mind-blowing experience where you're just like, when he explains a shark attack, it is 2 notes. You know what I mean? And I was just like, it can't be more than 2. And after he said that, I was like, is that a universal truth? It's almost like something Predator and Prey. It was almost like it just felt primal. It felt perfect. It felt organic. I can't even explain to you how important John Williams is to me. And so whenever anyone says something bad about a Star Wars film or anything that he's been involved with, I'm just like, I don't think you really understand that because it's picture against John Williams, it's perfect. You just don't understand that what you're getting is still concentrated Star Wars at all times, and you may not like it, but it's still high concentration.
Yeah, you know what? John Williams put a seal of approval on it, so it's legit. It's bona fide.
Exactly.
All right, let's get into the songs because I want to talk about music. Here instead of the abstract. John Williams is a pimp. Watch the documentary.
So this is a John Williams music draft, Star Wars theme.
Yes.
We are going to pick one theme, motif, track from each film of all the saga films that John Williams has, which is 9, your 9 saga films.
Yes.
And then we will have one wild card, which can be a John Williams track from not just Star Wars, but any film.
Okay. Yeah, which is good.
You can take the movie or wild card in any order.
Right on.
Because I'm speaking now.
Oh, you saying you can throw a you saying you can
pick in the draft.
You saying we can pick the wild card at any time?
Yes.
Okay.
Wild card can be chosen at any moment.
All right. But we should go through the films in order, right?
No. You can pick any film, any order to get it off the board.
Okay.
To get it
off the board. Okay, strategery.
Take it off the board.
Okay. I love this. This is
any
all right.
film, any order. Your favorite John Williams, track, number, theme, motif.
Yeah.
In a certain film, and then take it off the board. One wild card. Ben, you'll go first.
Okay. All right. You made the rules. I'll go first. Yeah. I feel like you got to drill into the original trilogy. Like I listened back through all these today just to get my list, and there's just a lot of heavy hitters
Get it off the
board. OT.
Yeah.
The one I want, buddy.
No.
I mean, I've got to give it its due. Episode 5, Yoda and the Force. Like, come on.
Okay, there is Yoda's theme and Yoda and the Force. I think those go together, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think the motif travels with them both.
Yeah, I mean, the most
an
iconic...
incredibly tough one that you took that off the board, honestly.
Sorry. What's good, best is best, man. It's really the scene in, like, when he's raising the X-Wing. He's like,
that's Yoda and the Force. So that's a little expansion on Yoda's theme, right? There's like... No, I don't think it at all. I think Yoda... I would almost say Yoda's theme and Yoda and the Force are far different.
Yeah.
They're way different.
Okay. I think they're pretty similar. I mean, he obviously changes the motifs all the time, and really Yoda and the Force are like kind of the same theme and are a very similar theme.
It's the best. Yoda and the Force is the greatest song from that film. But instead of picking in that film, I think I'm going to jump to a different film, and I think I'm going to take... let me think here. Do I pick in the same film and just kind of take my I'm going to take Return of the Jedi in Return of the Jedi, John Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is Luke sort of looking to the team, R2 prepping the lightsaber, all the staccato, sort of like a very dramatic moment that sort of carries out and then into the theme, but then crescendos. And I just want to to me, that was like such a standout moment when I watched the original trilogy. Yeah.
So right at the top,
and
right
it was
at the
one
top.
of the best Star Wars moments of all time, honestly.
Yeah.
And I just want to take that off the board because I don't know, it was just perfect to me. It was honestly perfect.
Nice, man.
It was like a perfect action moment. It was like what Star Wars needed, right? Like to continue being as great as it was, it needed some big sort of standoff, right? It was a Star Wars standoff, and I'd never seen anything like that. Because again, like there's The Last Jedi, and there's this moment, and there's moments where like time stands still in Star Wars, and a big moment's about to happen, and for me that was just incredible.
I agree. I've got to go back and listen to that one because I didn't think that was going to be on your board. Oh God. And
the board's a little different than the first.
I know, because you know what I picked. I mean, well, we'll get back to it because I need to pick Binary Sunset for episode 4 right now. Because I talked a lot of smack about it, but like there are times in my day when I'm just walking around and I'm just like meow 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 meow, like I'm just like in it, and I love that theme so much. Yeah, and
okay, you're taking A New Hope. I'm gonna do Mouse Robot and Blasting Off from A New Hope.
What?
It is,
are you going like all edgelordy on me?
Please,
Mouse Robot.
Please go listen to this. This is sort of like them getting off the Death Star for the first time, and that good music. And it's honestly on my re-listen, it just swept me away. I'm just bringing up tracks that are now just sweeping me away as I'm a little older. I think I would have picked all the staples, you know what I mean? Like, it would be Leia's theme off the board right away.
Right.
It would be the staples. Like, I would do the staples, but now I'm really digging in on the catalog, especially after that documentary.
I've got some deep dives too, but those were two that I'm sorry, like I can't not pick. Like I'm not gonna pick Imperial March, but it's like, I mean, is there any cooler? Like that one's just ubiquitous. You can't escape it if you want to. But
that's fine. I'm taking these ones because I think they're important to me after the documentary. But I think before the documentary, I would have picked Binary Sunset. Well, Binary Sunset, you took it. I mean, what else was to do? Well, you took it. You're leading the way and taking the staples. I'm now going to take these like follow-up tracks that I think are impressive that no one really
Mouse Droid's a deep cut. I looked at it but I didn't listen to it. I'm like, no, that's just going to be like his interstitial music is amazing. Like Asteroid.
Interstitial stuff. I'm more into that. Like Rebel Fleet theme doesn't exist, I don't think, in the actual albums.
Well, is it my turn?
Pull it off. I think you have to pull it off the movie. No way! You're really going to take this? It's a motif. I get it. It's an original motif.
Well, it has a name, and it's called Into the Trap. Yes. Return of the Jedi, and that's it.
Yeah, it is it because it is that. Yeah, okay.
It's like this. It's weird. They put the songs way out of order on the Return of the Jedi soundtrack, and this is the second track. But it's like really, it's obviously about the assault on the second Death Star. And
which is the great Oh my god, why did I take the Sarlacc pit? Why?
It just hits so hard. Why did you take the Sarlacc pit?
Oh, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna make shirts. Why did you take the Sarlacc pit? Oh my god. Why did you take the Sarlacc pit?
Dude, I learned it from watching you.
Harder. No, I think I have the more indelible moment though, because that's a lot of ships and just against the blue screen. And like for me it's like
I guess, but I'm
the beat. It's the beat.
It's the beat, bro. Like, so this is
the story beat sheet.
Yeah, you know? Dude, you're the one that turned me on to this, and this is yet another like battle march, right? But it's just like, it slaps so hard, and that scene does not slap without that music. Like, you don't know why that scene slaps.
It's actually why Return of the Jedi is one of the greatest. Honestly, it's argued as the greatest Star Wars film ever, and I almost think it's
Return
stuff. Yeah, because I think people like Return. I think people like the end, like Act 3 of Return, is basically the perfect opera. You know what I mean?
And I love how wild the first and second acts are as well too.
Yeah, the first and second act are great, but like Act 3 is really something.
Yeah, they nailed it
out there.
It's like, I mean, yeah, it was like 100 spaceships coming out of like hyperspace, and it's just like junk, just metal as hell, right? And then it's like you contrast that with
theme starts.
Yeah, but you contrast that with
like,
Rise.
It's like the Rebel Fleet theme is I don't know. It's just operating on another. It's so good. It's like everyone falling in, like squadrons sort of falling into formation. It's like the perfect like honestly, you can't make better squadron aerial assault music than Return of the Jedi. John Williams solved it. It's this.
Hearing that music, I'm in the cockpit of one of these things, and I'm like, whoo, let's go. Like, just, fired up. I'm in a stinky 100%. Jumpsuit. I'm like pressing big square lit up, like, primary color buttons. And I'm just like, I'm in this fight with you. Like, let's go. And it's just like, it's that song that just gets me going. So this is something.
Honorable mention the Emperor from Return of the Jedi, which is sort of the dark side theme in the throne room. It's just out of control.
That was my backup. And this is like not a criticism, but every time there's a dark side user, he flips the same switches. It's like, whoa. Yeah. And then there's ghostly operatic.
I was gonna take Palpatine's teachings, like Revenge of the Sith or whatever, and I was gonna take.
It's your turn. It's right there.
Snoke in The Last Jedi, and I was gonna take these scores or something, and then I was or I guess first the Force Awakens. I don't know where the Snoke song sits.
Yeah.
But I was gonna take these songs, the Tibetan throat singing, and just be like. Yeah. I need more of this. Like, I thought the Acolyte was like, I wanted to watch more Acolyte because I thought the Acolyte was going to eventually get to this whole, like, besides the passion and the sort of like seductive aspects of the Force amongst, in a sort of like amiable way amongst peers. I was thinking it was eventually going to get to that real dark side core. Yeah. I was like, is it going to eventually crack that core where it's like, whoa?
Can you imagine Plagueis's theme? Like, I feel like
Plagueis's theme would have to be just like the deepest singing of all time. It's just like a mantra of just echoey sort of, I don't know, sort of a loud thundering mantra, right?
I know, but for real, like Maul, did you know Maul had a theme? That like
Maul, I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, so that's the same thing. Snoke's the same thing. And then obviously the Emperor, and I didn't listen to Dooku actually. I meant to double check Dooku, but I found too many other like contenders.
I feel like Dooku is great because I think he has a connection to sort of the operatic sort of chord progression of like the clones and like the main theme and stuff. Like I think he's connected to like the big. I think that why the prequels are so good is that John Williams tied the characters together in a way that were they like cohesive to the plot, and Dooku has a huge part in the Clone Army.
Yeah,
and,
no,
like, the Separatists.
I did listen to it. The Dooku one's amazing.
It's connected to almost like the entirety of the motif of like the clones and like the war. And I was like, is Dooku kind of connected to like the entirety of Star Wars rather than like has his own march or whatever, which is, I think, genius on. I was like, is that actually something that everyone undermines about the prequels?
Yeah. So do you remember?
Because Christopher Lee is the most epic freaking actor ever, and if you're someone was going to be wrapped up into like the entirety of Star Wars, it would be that character. But I get it. Like I totally get it.
So the Dooku theme is taken from that really long oneer of him like entering the atmosphere on Geonosis, and then like his sail like ship. Then like so it's like the sound of his sail ship, which has its own theme, and then it's like him going into atmosphere, and then like him getting on like a different spaceship, and then
so it's almost like Padme's Ruminations. It sort of sounds like this. It's voices again. It's a voice choir of some kind.
Yeah, that was so Maul's theme. I had that written down. There is like a ghostly voice. It's like the Emperor like theme, but there's like this real ghostly voice in a solo voice in like a tunnel. It's it's
I absolutely love that.
All right, I think it's your turn, buddy.
My turn. I'll take Duel of the Fates from the Phantom Menace. This fundamentally changed me. I basically heard this song and then I just kind of reinvented what the biggest sort of loudest way you could do an action scene would look like. I think I'll just take that off the board just because I looked at Phantom of the Menace, I listened to everything all over again, and I love it all, but Duel of the Fates I remember just being like, the lights, the dual ignition of the double-bladed lightsaber, it's honestly unbeatable. Like
it is.
For that movie specifically. But
I didn't pick it for some reason. I just had a feeling you were going to get it before me.
Yeah. But I had to get there because you actually got staples in other movies that I was like, I need to jump in on a staple. Yeah.
I mean, those staples I picked though, like really like resonate with me. They just aren't getting old. I still I get teary when I hear Binary Sunset like every time. And
that's incredible because it's the moment that I will like, no matter where I am in my house, I will race to the living room to basically, if I start hearing Binary, it locks me in basically. I'm then locked in for the rest of it.
In that documentary there was, in the like Star Wars section, I think it was Lucas, I forget what he was saying, but he was talking about that one moment with Yoda raising the X-Wing, and they played the music. Tears.
Yoda
just
in the
down
Force.
my face.
Yoda
tears.
in the Force. Oh my god. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna just kind of follow you around like an annoying little brother here, and I'm gonna
take a staple.
Yeah, because like I don't think we're gonna have much overlap. There's only two of us. If it was Adam, we might have more. But
true.
So I'm gonna, and we talked about it already. So for episode 1, I'm gonna pick Droid Invasion, an appearance of Darth Maul. So it's kind of a twofer. And I'm going by the soundtrack, which isn't really fair, I suppose.
Okay, this is a great, I really like
I'd take either one of, there's two themes here, but the main one is the Droid Invasion. And I think
You're taking Droid Invasion, which is, I am, So Droid Invasion is the best song in the movie, but Duel of the Fates is carries a moment in the movie that actually just blew my mind. So, but Droid Invasion is when the droids like are sort of like unpacking on deploying on Naboo. Like the Droid Invasion music that plays there is like, I just don't understand criticism of the prequels when you have the best John Williams music there and the best march. I would say this is way better than the Imperial March. I would say the Droid Invasion March is far better than the Imperial March at this point. And I know every sports arena plays the Imperial March. I beg you to play the Droid Invasion March. Your fans will go wild.
They will go wild. I'm going to go see the Pats on Sunday.
Wild. They will get so hyped.
I would get so hyped for that.
They'll play the Imperial March every single time. And I'm like, just try.
Mix it up. Can you imagine like
I right like if Rebel plays, game over.
Game over.
People are jumping onto the field.
So that's kind of a twofer, but I would say the other thing, I think Droid Invasion is the best sort of like soundtrack music there, but I think Duel of the Fates stands alone as a song. Like, sometimes I just want to party and I put on Duel of the Fates. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm trying
that song hits so hard.
Big moments. I'm picking.
It's like 3.5 minutes too. It's like perfect.
Speaking of big moments, I'm going to take A New Alliance in The Last Jedi, which is a motif and theme I listened to recently. That basically I had just jumped on the. Oh gosh, what did I love about the Last Jedi? I loved the spark. I loved the end of the film. I love those tracks about Luke and Kylo and Kylo's sort of theme there at the end. I really like that stuff. But A New Alliance carries a moment in the film that was actually my favorite moment of recent in Star Wars in the last probably decade, which is sort of Kylo pulling the saber, killing Snoke, Rey catching the saber, all the stuff that's there, and then the fight with the guards, like that, Praetorian guards, like that music I sort of undercut and didn't really look into and didn't really, think about. But then now revisiting all the music, I love that sort of moment. And I just to think of John Williams sort of looking at the footage and deciding that part, I was like, okay, this is clearly my favorite. I'm going to pick this. And I know it's kind of crazy for me to pick it, but it's like, what is the Rebels Reborn, there's like the spark, there's like a bunch of things there that are like big numbers from this movie, but like, and there's the obviously Octu stuff, but, it's like,
I love that you have an encyclopedic knowledge of this.
Well, the Jedi Steps, I know Jedi Steps carry, I think, from The Force Awakens to this movie,
yeah,
but I don't need to worry about that because I pick the Jedi Steps every single time I've done a music draft since the beginning of time. Yeah. And I'm just going to take a break from picking that because I love it so much.
Yeah, honestly, I think you won for this movie because, like, it's such unique music compared to the other films, and it's a lot more nuanced, I think. And
it's the most bombastic the Star Wars main theme will ever get. It's A New Alliance from The Last Jedi. Yeah. It's like two people connecting in a huge way to defeat the bad guy, and just I beg you to listen to the score there and sort of that rendition of what I think is the Star Wars main theme, honestly.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out again. All right, for my next one, things are getting serious here, and there's only one more that I think you might get that I won't allow,
sure.
And it's Rey's theme. This is really for Episode 7,
it's fun.
Force Awakens. It's just really grown on me now. Like when I hear it, it makes me feel like I did going to see Force Awakens for the first time, and like the joy and the new like feeling of like seeing a new Star Wars for the first time in a really long time, and just like how much I love the characters and the way that Rey's story played out. It's just sort of like it's just a warm, cuddly blanket. I love that theme, and it's like genius too. It's just like unique.
It's so beautiful. Genius. The way it sort of like patters on the piano to introduce her.
Yeah.
To the way it sort of then starts to like wrap itself into the entirety of the opera is beautiful. And then I would love it to return. Like when we get back to the Rey movie and Rey as a character, I'd love it to return with like a huge brass section sort of doing it, and like it just being louder than you ever heard it, and maybe some added sort of accents.
I mean, more than likely. So, assuming that this Rey movie comes out, New Jedi Order, It's not going to be...
You know what I mean? Like, it's got like add more, like she just went through this whole trilogy. Like, it's more to it now.
I know, but it's not going to be John Williams.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that.
I guess we don't. He probably can't tear himself away. I guess he's still working. You know.
Speaking, I mean, I love that his daughter's like, I love to know he's working because he loves to.
Right. And when he's not working, she worries about him. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's hope we can get more Star Wars with John Williams involved. If we're on the topic of The Force Awakens, I guess I'll take Snoke. I'll take some throat singing. I'll take the Sith sort of mantra, because I'm upset that we're not picking this stuff. See our previous sort of discussion.
Which is the Snoke theme from which movie?
It's in The Force Awakens. It's when you first see Snoke.
Okay.
It's almost like Palpatine's teachings from Revenge of the Sith, but I think even like a new sort of modern, maybe more voices involved, a sort of deeper resonance than that. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a deeper resonance than.
Yeah, it's subtle.
Yeah,
it's nuanced.
It's nuanced.
But you know they are
nuanced.
Nuanced. You know they are a Sith because like he rolls out the whole like the chorus in like black robes.
A billion theories were generated from John Williams' music in that moment, more so than even imagery.
Right.
It was like, whoa. You were like, oh, so this is the most ancient, darkest being ever.
Right.
Like, who could this be? Is this a Jedi who somehow survived and, wants to get revenge? Like, what is this character?
No, he was a test tube baby that was made 3 days ago. Possibly out of Luke's hand.
He was the contingency plan. It just wasn't made.
And for Adam, he was a homunculus.
I'll take that music though. I think that music was that's the sort of stuff that captures my imagination as a Star Wars fan. Is that dark side stuff, and I was hoping the Acolyte would eventually get to that sort of motion with the Sith.
Yeah, you're making me have to like. I haven't picked one yet, and I just would feel if I haven't picked a Sith soundtrack yet, I'm gonna take. I want to be an edgelord for episode 2 so bad. All right, I'm going to stick to my guns because I picked another one, and I think being an edgelord would be good there. It's the General Grievous theme.
Ooh, good pick.
Dude, have you listened to that recently?
It's like very like...
It's kind of like two themes and two different tempos happening simultaneously because it's like... So this is what I wanted to talk about when we were talking about Jaws. He's like really good at evoking motion. Not emotion, just actual motion. Like the way that things move, like it's like synesthesia. Like you can, it's like how the sound of things moving at a certain speed. And he really captured, like obviously he was like, he said, he's like, imagine being in black water and you just hear like, like,
it's perfect.
Like creeping up on you and you're like, oh that's the sound of fear. Yes. But like Grievous, it's like, it's got this like rapid percussion, which sounds like all his arms and his wheels and like
I love this interpretation.
With like, and then with this like
for me it was a misstep. It was like, why are we playing this general up when we don't know anything about him? He's like this theatrical. It's so fascinating because he is the villain with the cape who twirls the cape, except he's a cyborg and. His cape twirling goes unnoticed, and his mustache twirling sort of is invisible, but it's happening nonetheless.
Yeah,
and John Williams tells you that with this music.
Yes,
and and it's some of the loudest, most in-your-face music of the entire movie, and you kind of don't understand what's happening. And so I was like, is this are we not privy to the Clone Wars, or like have we seen all the Clone Wars at this point? Like I feel like we have not, and therefore it's almost like I don't really know what's going on in terms of why he's being played up so dramatically. He's so dramatically played up, and the Jedi are talking about him, it's actually the most in media res thing to ever happen in movies, period.
Yeah.
Is General Grievous.
Yeah.
And so if you want to learn about in media res, I would just say just General Grievous be the sort of icon of that, film studies class.
I kind of love that about Lucasian, like, Star Wars. It's just like, this person exists.
And they're played up. They're like a huge dramatic character in the story. And it's like, wow, they came out of nowhere.
I mean, really, Maul was like that too. It was just sort of like, boom, yep, and this guy's here. So.
Well, no, he got a lot of like,
teasing.
Sort of like teasing, and he was skulky in the shadows sort of moments, right?
Yeah.
You got some teasing. You got some serious teasing. And he honestly was like perfectly set up, because that's what I need from Star Wars, is sort of set up the characters in a way where it's like, oh, they're going to collide with the trajectory of the main characters. I see why, and it makes perfect sense. Like it just, when it feels inevitable, it's perfect. And I think George crushed it in the prequels.
Yeah.
At last, we will have our revenge.
Yes. Oh man. Actually, like, it just gave me chills.
Yeah. On Attack of the Clones, I'll take Confrontation with Dooku in the finale, which is, again, I think the Dooku.
Oh, you're taking the Dooku one.
Yeah,
okay.
I will take all that Dooku stuff. Dooku, I think, is my favorite character from the prequels, and I'm not even saying that like I'm not even a huge fan of his lightsaber or like his prowess in combat or anything like that. It's just Christopher
Which is
Lee.
awesome.
It's awesome. But like, I just want to put that aside, that I'm just not even talking about that. I'm talking about sort of Christopher Lee and what he brings to what that is, which is a rebel Jedi.
Yeah, he's a. You mean a rebel or
like a fallen Jedi?
And he's a rebel. Jedi turned Sith.
Okay, this is but this is the character that everyone wants, right? Like all the fans want this character, and I'm like, it happened, and it happened with the best possible actor you could get to play. That specific archetype. Right.
We don't deserve Christopher Lee.
Like Baylan Skoll is like, and Shin Hati are like equally interesting, and I cannot wait to say what Shin Hati's character, does, and it's just tragic that we lost Ray Stevenson. I desperately want to see where that character goes, and I'm hopeful that Dave Filoni will sort of like do something that's a beautiful tribute to sort of Ray Stevenson and that character as a whole, and what he does next with that story. But fallen Jedi characters, to me, I'm like, this is kind of the Ronin. This is kind of the actual Ronin character that you want to explore, and will add all this to sort of your storytelling. And it's almost like you wanted more with Count Dooku. And so the Count Dooku, I'll take any piece of the Count Dooku storyline that I can. And so I'm going to take that John Williams sort of like, constructions around Count Dooku.
Nice, man. That's a great call. I love, you're so right about him. It is like such a unique take on him, and it's like, we don't deserve Christopher Lee. Like, his prowess was amazing, and also his lightsaber was dope.
I was gonna let you do that.
Yeah. Can I do a quick lightsaber aside here?
Yes.
I was so I collect Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsabers, like all the lightsabers that Kenobi could have possibly collected over the years. And there's one.
When I think about you, I think about Ben Kenobi. I gotta say.
Thank you. I really try to every day I'm like, what would Ben Kenobi do?
Sure.
A lot of hello there. Yeah. But so someone mentioned one that I didn't even know existed, but it was, since we were talking about Attack of the Clones, the like random lightsaber that was thrown to Obi-Wan in the Petronaki arena.
Oh my God, don't even say that right now.
Dude, that exists. Someone made it.
Built it for a time.
Yeah, and someone made it, and I just bought it. And I was like, because I'm like, do I need that? And I'm like,
yeah, you do.
Of course I do.
You need every.
I need. He still has that somewhere squirreled away in his hut on Tatooine.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I forgot about that moment. Yeah, I think a Jedi throws both Anakin and Obi like some lightsabers. Some like just spare lightsabers.
Yeah, Anakin has one too. And this place is called Saber Bay. They're very nice. They're the only ones that make it. It's called the Geonobi and the Anakinaki, I think.
Nice. That's poetic. I love it.
Yeah, it's clever. I'm psyched about that. That's Lightsaber Corner.
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah. All right. So is it my turn now?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. So now, I really want to pick a Darksider, but I can't. The only other one I had was Revisiting Snoke, but I'm not. You already picked Revisiting Snoke from episode 8.
8 is very similar, to Snoke.
Yeah,
I would say that's in the motif of Snoke.
It is. I would say you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do. Oh wait, so no, I picked. Grievous was episode 3, and then you picked. Did you pick anything around 2?
Grievous.
I know.
I did pick 2. I picked Dooku at the end of 2.
Okay. All right. I'll do 2 as well. Though it is criminal that neither of us picked Palpatine's teachings because it is a dope.
No, that's I haven't picked my Revenge of the Sith yet.
Oh, okay. Well, do me a favor and save me.
Should I?
I had to be an edgelord with Grievous because
I picked
thought
Snoke
it was great.
already. It's essentially Palpatine's teachings.
Wow.
I almost don't need to go back and take Palpatine's teachings. It's the same. You could play that same music and have that same conversation at the opera, and it would be.
I know. I would say of all those like dark side themes, Palpatine's teachings is up there with the whatever episode 6, the Emperor. Like the Emperor's is classic. That's like really amazing. But Palpatine's teachings.
The Emperor is like the greatest thing ever. Yeah. So it's honestly like if you're gonna take like when you're telling me there's like some snobbery about John Williams film scores, I'm like, are you kidding me? Amongst like the classical music people, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that music is transcendent.
Yeah.
The Emperor's throne room of Return of the Jedi is transcendent.
Totally. All right, I'm gonna go with Jango's Escape.
I almost picked this. This was my secondary. So if I didn't get what I wanted, which is the Dooku stuff, I would have taken the Jango stuff.
Yeah. 2
characters that I can't even shout out these villains enough.
Yeah.
In episode 2. Yeah.
It's just like it's probably like one of the most elite action themes that Williams has done. It's great and it's fitting because it's Jango and it's like now you really respect that character. Obviously, the action shows like how amazing he is, but the music makes it hit home. It makes him like feel really menacing. You're like, oh, like Obi-Wan's gonna get messed up here.
You took all right. I'm going back to episode 5. Empire Strikes Back, quite possibly the greatest Star Wars film ever made.
Yeah, you got a lot to pick from here.
So I could take Han Solo and the Princess.
Yeah.
I could take
iconic
music. In re-listening to it all, like there's moments that I think like again these are like pieces from John Williams that I think like make Star Wars special because they're not the big moments, they're like the little moments, honestly. They're the moments that like carry forward the world building. So I'm going to take Departure of Boba Fett from The Empire Strikes Back.
From Bespin,
I beg people to listen to this music. I kind of jumped. It's always Yoda's theme. It's Yoda and the Force. It's a Battle in the Snow. Nothing gets me more charged than sort of like some of the Echo Base Hoth stuff. From the beginning of the movie. Is anything better? Is there any better battle music in all of movies than Battle in the Snow and sort of like Hoth?
Probably not. It's just so visually striking. I don't think about it, but it's like it like that's why you care about.
There's Imperial March, but I've listened. Imperial March is one of those tracks that it's indelibly genius, but it's kind of like
it's been played
ubiquitous. You're just I don't know.
Yeah, you can't escape it. It's
so I'm going to take Departure of Boba Fett. In re-listening, I'm taking these staccato ambient moments in Star Wars that sort of catch me off guard that John Williams again, his father was a percussionist. I can see how there's a lot of percussionist sort of like influence in his art and sort of like just these loud sort of blaring sort of like single notes that sort of happen at times. And I would say the Departure of Boba Fett is definitely, the tension is ratcheting. It's very fun. And this ending is romantic. The Empire Strikes Back is so good because it's deeply romantic. Like the end of the movie is like romantic, not just for Han Solo and the princess. It's romantic for like everyone who's been on this adventure to this point. And going in the different ways that it's going, and this sad sort of I don't know, it just feels like this love song at the end of that movie that I don't feel like is at the end of other Star Wars films. It's very weird.
You get the like I love you, I know moment there, which is like
it's like what is happening in this movie?
I mean, I was just watching. I've been on a Fear the Walking Dead bender, and there was an I love you, I know moment in that show, and I was like, you're just gonna do that? All right.
But even the tense, like Boba Fett leaving and packing up, like to me, that's what
running through the hallways.
Genius. It was like running parallel with a love story is a bounty hunter doing their job.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this really a love story and romantic father-son, sort of
bonding.
Bonding, experience, trauma.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is this sort of like in this Boba Fett piece? And I'm like, this Boba Fett piece is why Boba Fett is the character we love so much. He's in the midst of all of this family drama and this love.
Just doing work.
And I urge people to go back and listen to this number specifically because I was just blown away in my re-listen. I was like, is this really just about a guy getting stuff done in the midst of all this?
Yeah. Dude, I love your cuts, man. We should make like a playlist or something on
these
Spotify.
Are cuts. Yeah, we should.
Those are great.
Maybe after the episode, we sort of, if you want to listen to everything in order, we'll throw it up there. Your pick, buddy.
All right. Well, so speaking of like the mellow sort of like theme, like ambient sort of stuff, and you mentioned it, but I mean, you mentioned every song from this soundtrack. Acto Island, Act 2 Island is the one that I was like, I don't know, kind of resonated with me.
Do you get Jedi Steps and you get Octu and like all together?
The song's called Act 2 Island, but you get Jedi Steps and like all of that's in there, and it's it's such a
it's so beautiful. Honestly,
it's beautiful and like uneasy at the same time. Like there's like
it's cerebral, right? It's almost like there's a cerebral aspect to it that sets up Luke Skywalker and our return to Luke.
Yeah, and there's mystery wound into those themes as well.
Definitely mystery.
So it's like really subtle, it's really light, and it's really beautiful, and I think it carries those scenes.
It's very, and there's hope to it too. There's a piece of like the Jedi and what the Jedi represent in there, which is beautiful.
Right, she's looking to
an
bring
upward
back,
swell.
Bring back the great hope that is Luke Skywalker, which was robbed from us for some reason.
It's a great pick. That's a fantastic pick, honestly.
Thank you.
I'm
a big fan. All right, we're running out here. I think you've got one more.
Revenge of the Sith. I'm going to get it over with. It's.
What you going to do?
This is a tough one. It's Battle of the Heroes. Let's be real.
Oh, okay.
It's Battle of the Heroes only because I just want to see John Williams cook, and I can't think of a better example of John Williams cooking than Battle of the Heroes.
Yeah.
And this isn't a song I like. This is another staple song where it's like, if you don't take it, you're crazy, for Revenge of the Sith. It's a song that I know people could get. I don't know. I feel like they're like, oh, they're just breaking into a sort of operatic fight scene, and this music has to accompany it, and it's sort of obligatory almost. And I just don't. I think in listening to it the first time, I'm like, yeah, of course it has to be this beautiful, operatic song between two combatants, but at the same time it's brothers.
Yeah.
And I think brothers is in there. I think if you listen to this number, there's like an idea of two brothers clashing. And I just, again, in the re-listen, I was just like, this is actually pretty powerful. I used to think it was sort of an iconic staple and boring pick, but now I'm like, oh no, this is John Williams cooking to the highest degree. And in lava, like cooking.
Well done. It sounds to me like love, and it sounds to me like tragedy. Like,
at the same time.
Like two chords, like left hand like love, right hand tragedy, or back and forth. I don't know. Yeah. But it's like
it's going downhill.
Yeah.
It's going downhill, but faster and faster, which is great.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, will it stop? We all know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But it's like, and you just have to watch it. It's like, this is the sound of you.
When you first saw it, though, I don't think I was spoiled on that. I think when I first saw Revenge of the Sith, I think I had heard that Anakin Skywalker fell into a volcano.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I had read, because George Lucas, like behind the scenes or something, was like, not even behind the scenes, but like there was something that was
that spoiled it for you.
A documentary in which George Lucas had that he wrote scripts in which Anakin Skywalker like fell into a volcano or something, It was very rudimentary when I first heard it. It was like fell into a volcano. And I was like, okay, like what does that mean essentially? And then to actually see it unfold and the music that takes place is like, it had to be that music. It had to be the apex of everything essentially too, which was, I could pick Palpatine's teachings. I could pick what I think is the coolest track from Revenge of the Sith, which is Padme's Ruminations, which is, I don't even, it feels electronic or something. Like it does, feels like modified, vocoded sort of voices of some kind.
Yeah, could be. He's really light with effects, but he does use them. And it's really, oddly, man, dude, Revenge of the Sith soundtrack is just got banger after banger. There is so many.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's a really good score, man.
And you pulled Grievous from there, right?
I know. I picked a weird one, but like, because I mean, Palpatine's teachings and like, I mean, I had forgot. I looked at that and I'm like, it's no, because I think it just makes me want to like throw up in my mouth when I hear it because it's like so emotional. like for good reasons. Like, no, it's like that's the way it should sound. But I'm like,
I don't mind things returning to a more predictable, classical, operatic, kabuki sort of design. I don't mind that, honestly. I'm actually a huge fan of predictable Star Wars. That's sort of like clear good guys and bad guys battling it out. Big fan of that.
Man.
Again, it can be mysterious in the edges and in the corners. Like who we meet can be mysterious at first, but like the totality of the opera, I like when it resounds off each other in these huge ways and these huge moments. They're like 10 to 15 minute set piece moments and like massive battle moments. Like I love that stuff. Huge. I think like the music can just run through the register when those things happen.
I love it, man. Yeah, you're right. It's just it's a killer. All right, I guess this is my last pick here.
I think I'm on my last two.
So this is Rise of Skywalker, and there's actually
wait, if you pick one, because I don't have another. If you pick one, but okay, go ahead.
Oh, you don't have another? I have three that I was like that I liked a lot. But I'm going to go with Approaching the Throne.
I picked the same.
Did you pick the same one?
I picked the exact same one.
Oh man, sorry. Fine. I can pick another one for you.
No, it's all right. It's all right. No, please just elaborate on what you feel about this, because it blew my mind when I re-listened to the soundtrack and I heard this specific song. I was basically like, this is it. This is it. This is the sauce. Yeah.
And like, it didn't even really hit me when I was in the theaters as much, but like re-listening by itself, it's Jaws-like. Like it's that you get that sense of motion. It's a sound of motion as you're sort of trudging towards your nightmare, and Rey's nightmare, which is this throne and her little nightmare, and it's dark and it's broody. It's awesome. It's like Jaws. Good. Yeah. It's great.
So I do have another one from this movie, and I do have a few from this movie. In my re-listen, I definitely rediscovered a bunch of songs that I should have charted, initially, but I didn't at first. And so I think this movie gets a lot of flack for like its ending and its pace.
I like the end. I think the ending's the best part.
I think
Act 3. I think is flawless.
I'm going to pick A New Home from The Rise of Skywalker.
A New Home.
Which is sort of Rey and the transitory music that's playing, that we're in which she's burying the sabers and moving on from this whole event. That music's actually really special. And like, I'm glad John Williams made that music, because that's actually probably the motif that has to continue, and however we jump into the next thing. And it's like, it felt like it was, I love to see the state of a hero after they've gone through the mythological journey, and for that music to start playing, it's very mythological, honestly. And I really like when John Williams dabbles in myth and explaining, the hero's journey, in a way that's almost postmodern. Like, we're past the hero's journey. Here's some music for a little bit. And it's like, okay, like, this music's very interesting. We're now beyond the opera. This is sort of epilogue music. It was interesting. I really thought it was.
That's a really good way to explain it, man. Like, I think you hit it on the head, because the other two songs I had were The Rise of Skywalker and Anthem of Evil.
They're very good. Those are both very big songs.
Right, because The Rise of Skywalker is really, it's like a very, very evolved Rey theme, and it's evolved like to the point where you can almost not recognize it. It's just like, it's just, yeah, it's like you said, it's like postmodern, like post-hero's journey, apotheosis music.
Yes. Yeah.
And kind of, when I think about it, Anthem of Evil kind of is too. It's like this evolution of the like droney, like Sith music. It's like, it does more things. It's more musical. There's more parts to it. It's more complicated and nuanced. And I mean, just And now that I'm looking at it by itself, you're like, John Williams was writing his own culmination, his own finale to the Skywalker saga alongside J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
And was doing it musically, and it's just so professional. It's so masterful, and just a joy to listen to.
Oh, we have one more category that we've both been saving to the very end of this draft.
So this is the field, right? So I wasn't going to pick this early because I knew we're not going to get the same song.
Oh, there's no
odds are against it.
There's no way. But So I'll do an honorable mention, and I'll do my pick when it's my turn. I guess you picked the. Did you pick the last? You picked the last, so I'll pick the first here. If it's
sure, go for it.
I hear. It's so hard not to pick a number from Lincoln.
No,
Lincoln. I was.
Oh, wait, that's not John Williams. Sorry.
Is it? Yeah, it is. It is not. Is it not?
No, that's Nick.
Oh yeah, Nicholas Bertel. Yeah.
Bertel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So now we don't have to pick John Williams, which is great. It's gonna be.
I thought we had to pick John Williams.
Oh, do
we have to pick John Williams, but it can be any movie. I'm the one that screwed that up. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Without Malice in Our Hearts from Lincoln by John Williams.
Okay.
That is literally, if you want to just listen to music and know that no matter how dark the future is, we can do better and be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Listen to that track.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever wanted to be a fan of a politician, watch the movie Lincoln, dude. It's because it's like really rooted in letters and history, and you have probably the greatest actor of our generation playing Lincoln, and then you got John Williams, so it's like, you're welcome. It's a fantastic, of all the historical things, it slaps. I'm not going to get that inventive or that deep down the rabbit hole with him, but I stand by this pick 110%. It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi theme. From the Obi-Wan series, it just hits. It's just a classic. It ties in the Force theme a little. The song just repeats itself.
Into the Force a little bit in a deeper way. The Jedi. Yeah.
It's a really long. It's a really long phrase that repeats itself 3 times, and it just gets more bombastic as it repeats. But it's just, this theme is so hardcore and so defined and so beautiful and so hopeful. And obviously I'm an Obi-Wan fanboy, but it's so good, man. I listen to this theme kind of a lot. It makes me want to run through a brick wall. I love it.
I love that for you, by the way. Not the brick wall, but just I love this song so much.
I love this song so much, and listen, it's out there. Go listen. He just jumped in, he did it for Solo too. He wrote Han Solo's theme, and that was the only thing he did on that score. And the only thing he did on this score was the Obi-Wan theme. And a couple other film score composers were like, "Yes, thanks for stopping by." And built off it.
That is a truly great theme. That was truly the greatest music I think presented in that show was Obi-Wan's theme and stuff. Yeah.
I think it played over the end credits every episode.
So good. Yeah, you're not wrong. Jumping outside John Williams, that's all our picks.
Yeah.
That was the draft. There's going to be no vote, no favorite chart or tallies for who made the best pit selection here. This is just a way for us to dive into sort of scenes that we love and talk about John Williams, I think, in a way that we don't normally talk about him, which is what he brings to a scene, what he brings to the film cell. You know, each frame John Williams is looking at and sort of accenting it. And I don't think we talk about that enough. And,
you know, Spielberg said in that documentary, he's like in the like Indiana Jones snake pit like scene.
Yeah,
he's like every snake had their own theme.
Yeah,
and it was like 10,000 snakes down there, and it's like a joke, but he's not wrong. Like he does do.
You listen to it. What's beautiful is they play that moment, they play that scene, and then He also talks about loving to score music for Harrison Ford. He's like, Harrison Ford just has this tongue in his cheek sort of charm that is just non-existent elsewhere in film. And so like when you're making this adventure music, then he, you know, says some sort of quip. It's like perfect. It's like, that's what it accents the music almost, like everything he's saying. There was something really special to that too, that I kind of hadn't brought a sort of deeper concentration to, which is after seeing this doc, I was like, wow, there's the snakes, right? In Indiana Jones, each one just gets its own little chime in the score.
It's almost like you can't throw enough at John. Like the better the like performance, the better the music you're going to get out of it.
But the Schindler's List stuff, that actually really got me. Like I think I wept. I had just a whole tissue box next to me and just like cried throughout like a lot of the Schindler's List stuff, because I was just like, John is like coming off of like Jurassic Park and making this like big adventure music, and then like he's dealing with just like this, just the saddest, darkest story imaginable, with a glimmer of hope at the center. And how do you compose for that? And then he said he shouldn't do it. He was like Steven, I shouldn't do it. It's like
that was a great bit.
I don't think I'm good enough to do this. And then when he did it, it was like, and when he played it for the first time, it was like,
Spielberg and his wife were crying.
Kate Capshaw was like, like just astonished by how gorgeous and dark and perfectly it captured the sadness of that movie. And again, when you rewatch that movie and you just like, honestly, that movie just sucks you in, and it's like a terrorizing and traumatic and sad but pure cinema sort of film that you'll ever see. It's like in all of that feeling, you kind of forget John Williams is scoring that thing, like the movie, the entire time. And when you kind of remember that in when they kind of show you those moments in the documentary of his time doing that, you're just kind of like, this is truly transcendent, is that you're not just covering these blockbusters, and you can break away from blockbusters. You can cover like these movies that are about very real and horrific things that that sort of capture the essence of that time, and like he was able to do it. And it's powerful stuff. It's like real powerful. It's high art. That was high art. When I saw the Schindler's List, 10 minutes of the documentary, I was like, this is high art, and I'm crying, because like it's hard to do this. Like it's hard for an artist to even create when it's the subject matter is that sad. And
you'd think it would be like low-hanging fruit. There's so much emotion inherent to the topic, but it's like, no, there's a way to make it like really perfect and indelible and like impactful and like in a way that resonates. And
he's so hopeful, and all his other music is very hopeful. And so like, but there is an underpinning in that score that is like the glimmer of what John Williams is, the hope that he is, and Schindler, and his story, and helping people, and there is true hope at the center of that score, that even as dark as it is and as encompassing as it is. Honestly, like I would name a Schindler's List number, because I think that if I listened to a bunch of John Williams songs in a row, and then it got to a motif or a theme from Schindler's List, I think I would just like bawl. It's it's a pure power. It's pure music expression. And so let's shout out to that music especially, because that was profound, and it's cool when he does profound music. So like my Lincoln selection to me is very profound as well. It's like he's able to enter this profound territory that I think Again, the Obi-Wan music is
he makes the mundane profound. You know, that's
he
like
makes everything profound.
Yeah, but then you have something that's really powerful, and and then excels even further. I might have been a throwaway pick.
Doing a film podcast, talk about Star Wars and talk about film. If I didn't listen to the music from Jurassic Park when I was 5, that music blew my mind. It basically my intro to cinema was John Williams.
Yeah, yeah.
So that he was my intro to cinema.
Yeah, I was thinking, actually, the first thing I thought when I fired up that doc yesterday was we would not be having this podcast if it wasn't for John Williams.
Didn't exist.
Yeah, no, this podcast would not exist. So
when you really trace it back through time, like Back to the Future, it's like, what relationships would you not have? What films would not you have not seen?
We might still have a podcast, but it would probably be like a Lord of the Rings podcast or something.
I love old reality Lord of the Rings pod. We all have like long beards. Weird. Yeah. Like tribal tattoos. It's like so what's going on here? These guys are.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, man. You want to call it for this week?
Yeah, I think we got it in the bag.
Thank goodness we get Adam back next week. And it'll be good to see him again and talk about the next thing that's going on with Star Wars. We have a couple things in the hopper, so I'm not going to try and spoil anything.
Dude, I just won my Star Wars Unlimited tournament tonight.
Congrats, Grantham.
Champion.
Draft. Star Wars Unlimited. I hear you have a couple pretty good decks going there.
It was a draft. It was just a random deck that we compiled with the cards that we drafted.
Fun.
Yeah, it was a great
skill.
Time. Yeah, it was. I was playing some random cards I never played before.
Nice.
It was fantastic.
Right on, man. Cool. Well, congrats to Grant on that. Thanks very much for hanging out at the local cantina with us, talking about Star Wars. We can't wait to do it again next week on
Cantina Chronicles.